Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Thursday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. My name is Sean Azimi, and I'm somebody who went from corporate America to an online gigpreneur. It wasn't by choice, I tell you that much. My pancreas shut down. I lost my job over it. In fact, I can't get another job because of it. And it left me with nothing to fall back on. I don't know if you've ever hit rock bottom like that, but I don't recommend it. Definitely not for fun. So now what I do, I help folks like you, like me, to start a side business online. And we use social media to grow it. If that resonates with you, recommend go to sidegigshawn.com, answer a couple questions, and we'll reach out, have that conversation, see if it's a fit for you. With that, I am so excited. Wayne, are you on the camera? I think you are, right? I am so excited to introduce my first guest for this year. I used to do Thursdays with Sean a while back, and I brought a few superstars on. And today I could not even wait. I've texted Wayne like 100 times probably and told him how excited I am to bring him on. So if you are on and you want to give some love to my guest, Wayne Johnson, drop it in the comments. Thursdays with Sean is about this. You know, you may have seen the glory, but you may not know the story. And I'm all about the stories. I love stories. And when it comes to real time, real life stories, that makes a whole bigger difference because in our space, I feel like Wayne, and maybe you can relate with this. We don't talk about enough about the little struggles along the way. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of bypass those and we kind of get into the training and the whatnot. But I like to bring out those struggles from the guys who are making it happen. So, with further ado, Wayne Johnson, welcome. Well, welcome. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Let's get started with the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, where were you born? What was it growing up like? Your family background, the environment, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Los Angeles area, California. Had one older sister, moved to Seattle area when I was 10. My parents moved, so I had to go with them. I always get around. So went up to the rainy, cloudy Northlands. But grew up, pretty normal family, middle class as far as things. But one thing my parents did, I guess, they were entrepreneurial. They did real estate on the side. My dad, one thing I saw about my dad, he's like he always showed up for work. He always was, doing something steady and consistent. And he was always around to coach my teams when I was younger, at least until I got older, high school. So my parents were, very involved. You could say they were modeling, designing their own life, and so I picked up on some of those clues of those things growing up. Had my first paper route when I was 11, and I joke around and say I just kind of the way my brain works. I got the paper route and I figured out how many houses I was delivering to, and I figured out there was like another 150 potential houses. So I was like, gosh, if I get like 30 more houses, I can double my pay with this. So, so,
I love that.
I just always have had like growth maximizer. There's something called strength finders. Like maximizer is in my top 5. So I've always kind of like wanted to like build things and grow things. So yeah, I guess work ethic of paper routes to working. Back then you could work when you were 14. So I worked, remember Domino's Pizza? I actually worked there
Yeah.
and answered the phones, 30 minutes or less. So I was always active. I like to make money. I'm pretty frugal though, so I'm not like a huge spender, but I kind of like to stack cash, if you could say, and build freedom. Then I went to the University of Washington, got a business degree, information systems finance, and got right into technology. Living in the Seattle area, started working, and doing that, and eventually from there pivoted into doing some consulting before I, tapped into my first side gig. I did flip a couple houses in there as well because that was kind of in my DNA and blood. But before I kind of got into what we're talking about, that's been really the main thing. So that's a little background on me.
Yeah, I love that. So at 11 years old, you ran a paper route. That just
Yeah,
started the whole thing at that point, right?
yeah,
So when
yeah.
did you move from California to Washington?
I was 10. Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. So you did your first route in Washington.
yeah, yeah. It
That's
was
probably best.
hills,
It's safest there.
rain, and darkness. Yeah, it was a good character builder.
Yeah, I bet. So, okay, so you graduate, you get into IT and finance, and now what did you study? I mean, you studied finance. So, how did you go from finance to IT?
Well,
It's
there.
a pivot on its own, right?
I was in the business school, so you had concentrations of classes you took, so you get kind of like minors in those different specific things. So I had information systems was one of my minors. The other one was finance. So
Oh,
I
gotcha.
went directly into information systems. Went and worked for a big insurance company. That was my
Okay.
first gig. Programming computers. It was a party, not. It was. It wasn't my favorite thing, but it was a means to end, and it taught me a lot. So that was my first gig out of college.
I am taking you back, huh?
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's,
taking you
I'm
back.
old enough that this was before Y2K. So if
Oh
anyone
yeah, okay. I do
if anyone
remember
even knows what
Y2K.
Y2K is, it
Yeah, I
was
do remember.
oh my
We're
god, I
aging
made it
ourselves.
before
We're
Y2K.
dating ourselves.
So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
So from IT and finance, if you would, now you come on to this entrepreneurship, this whole direct sales environment. I like to call it the I can't do this anymore
yeah.
moment, if you would. Is that what happened to you? And what was that like? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so I'd been doing the IT stuff for I guess about 7 years. I'd pivoted, got a bunch of certifications, started doing some consulting, some independent contractor. Um, I'm a great worker, but I'm kind of a terrible employee. So I say that if I'm an employee, I just always felt like I was kind of like a lion trapped in a cage. So I I will produce, but I just it's hard for me to be in a box in a structure. So that's why I did consulting, and that was great. But even in consulting, I just you know to go where I really wanted it to go to produce the freedom that I knew. I just knew it was going to take a lot of hours and a lot of time away from the family. And I was married. I had two little kids at that time. Well, one at that time when I was doing the consulting, and so um, had a direct sales opportunity come to me. A friend of mine that was a dietitian, and
Okay.
it struck me as odd. I was like, "Wait, you're a dietitian and you're talking about supplements? That's weird. Like I thought you were all about whole food." And she explained to me, the reason for supplementation and the lack of nutrient density and the reasons, the challenges of you can't just get it all from your food. And I was like, I'm noticing that. I noticed that personally, and I was always into working out and being, doing activities and things like that. So that was my initial take. I was like, gosh, I like these products. I can tell people about these. I love kind of sales and marketing, and I believe if something works, I usually tend to tell people about anything that's good. And so I was like, man, I could build some freedom about this on the side, and it really was, 5 years. I honestly, when I started, I didn't think of it. It was going to be some big, huge career and take off and like retire me out of corporate America. But I just I had fun doing it. What do they say? Find something you love to do and you have fun doing it and you get paid to do it and you never work a day in your life. So I was just working it on the side in the gaps of my life in the evenings while I was driving to work. I'd make calls, and all of a sudden, first year I made like $30,000 on the side, and I was like, well,
So
Uh,
okay, so all right, so you come onto this space, you get introduced to the health and wellness and the
yep,
nutrition side of things, and
yep.
then you go in and you're doing the calls and the meetings and whatnot back in the day. So the first 3 months, what was that like? What were you plugging into? What were you reading? What were your daily methods of operation? What was
Yeah,
that like?
yeah. No, these are really good questions because I think if you're getting into this space, one is you want to have a great mentor, and so the people that I started working with, I could trust them. They did what they said they were going to do. They were knowledgeable, and so honestly, I maybe it was just from playing sports. I was just like, okay, coach, tell me what to do. And they would just kind of point me in the direction. They say, hey, here's the things you need to go do it. And I just jokingly said I was kind of like a Labrador retriever. They would throw the ball, hey, go do these things. And I would go fetch, do those things. And I would come back and say, okay, I did this, or now I have these people to talk to. Can I get them on a call with you? And, and again, this is 2003. So there was, no texting people. There was no social media. You could email, but I mean, it was a lot of like picking up the phone and calling people. And that was just what everyone did. So it was normal, and home meetings. And, so I just started doing that. I was, and had products that when I got them in people's bodies, they were like, wow, okay, I like this stuff. Other people were interested in making money. So that was simple to show them what the business. So I really leveraged their experience as the experts, and you know just kind of did what they said. And in the first 90 days, about 90 days in, I started to figure out, oh, there's some gaps here. There's things I need to learn. And but again, the culture they had set up, is great leadership culture. There was opportunity to be like, hey, you should read this book, or you should listen to this, or you should start to do these things. And I was like, as I would hit a wall, I was like, okay, maybe I need to listen to that, or maybe I need to take in some more new inputs. And I, maybe it was just that thing of just always showing up. I just knew if I just kept showing up, I had good products, I had a good heart, at least I felt I did. Like I wanted to help people. I just knew that I would just eventually plow the right ground, and the seed would start to come forward. So that's really
Yeah, I love that.
it was
And
a grind. I mean, it wasn't, none of it. I would say it was simple, but it was never easy, right? If if it was easy, everyone would do it, and it
everyone
wouldn't
do
be
it.
so valuable or lucrative. So while things are hard, I always think like, oh, I'm glad it's hard, because it kind of separates the men from the boys, or the women from the girls, I should say.
Yeah.
And it creates the opportunity. So you know I like a challenge. I like that some people get weeded out because they're not just handing out lottery tickets with the winning numbers, right? So I like work. I like to be rewarded for excellence and grinding through things. And maybe that's weird, but it's
That's probably the reason why where you are now today, and I appreciate that about you because, as somebody who's successful and made a huge success in this profession, in this space, I'm sure you get the question, well, what is it that you read? What is it that you plug into? Who do you follow? And I think, and you may agree with me on this, at this stage of your current career now, what you plug into and what you listen to is got to be really different from the first 3 months when you were into, just brand new into the profession. So, I mean, there's been so much growth and progress since then to now. But I like to take people back to their first 3 months because most of the audience is in that category, and I think that's why it's important to kind of recognize the early struggles, the early challenges, the early activities. At this point where you are, nobody needs to tell you, hey, you got to make a couple calls, you got to post this, you got to do this. You're actually doing the coaching yourself. But that first 3 months, I think it's critical to kind of know what is the foundation? I think that's the
Yeah.
most important thing,
Well,
and
this may blow your mind though, but the fundamentals never change. And I think I tell people like discipline gets you where you want to be, but then discipline actually helps you keep everything that you've got. And so a
Mhm.
lot of people, they'll have success, but then they lack discipline, and so they don't actually keep what they've built, because the same habits that got them where they were when they were hungry, they don't maintain those habits, and they think they can. I mean, watch, going back in the movie time machine, like, watch Rocky 3. Rocky kind of got soft and fat, and Clubber Lang came and knocked him out, but then when he went back to the fundamentals, he came back and, won, and did so while it's true I've been doing this for 22 years, I'm on fire right now because I just reread the book Good to Great, which reminded me of everything you do at the beginning is still the things that you do today. And the fundamentals never change. And so um, it was a challenge, because there are things you pick up along the way that are like, oh, why am I doing this? This is not what I should be doing. So you got to the fundamentals are always the most important of any business. And if you stop doing those, you'll look up and be like, wait, what's happening here? Or even in your life, it's, you can't stop exercising. Or I tell people, the weeds grow every day. Don't, the weeds in your mind, bad thoughts, the weeds of like or your body, if you're not taking care of it. So just look out in your yard. It's like you're always going to have to pull weeds. And if it's, the sooner you figure that out and be like, oh, I just got to pull weeds every day, like this is just, this, I have to do these things every day, then you're like, oh, this is the journey. It's not any destination, right? So being diligent and have discipline every day is amazing.
I love that. So now we've talked about the start, the leap, right?
Yep.
Um, Now let's get into the part where people rarely talk about and bring up, and that's where I want to talk about, like, the challenges, the obstacles, the And
Yep.
if you're still here, and if you've ever thought about throwing in the towel and quitting, drop the word "still here" in the comments, so we know that you're still here with us. So let me ask you this: early days again.
Mhm.
Was it a hit right away, or was there a moment in the early time where you said, you know what, I don't know about this. I'm gonna just stick to the IT thing, and
Yeah, no, there was, in the first couple of years, there was many defining moments of like, is this really worth it? Ah, man, this is like, I feel like I'm, you know, 3 steps forward, 4 steps backwards, like getting people started, getting people going in the business. And they're like, this isn't really for me. And it's just like, wait, what? You haven't even really given it a shot. Like you're not being a Labrador retriever. Like what's happening here? Like, why isn't, um, so yeah, there was a ton of those moments. And, I just had to really decide that I was like, I will see this through. I see other people, designing their life with it, and building and doing it. And if they can do it, I can do it too. But I definitely had a few moments about a year, just over a year into it. I actually got about 30 people to come to our national convention, which was like, pretty rock star status, to get people to fly from all over the country and go down to Dallas and go to this event. And so I was like feeling like I was going to be like set up for the next conference they had 6 months later. I was going to have like 60 people there, and I would be over $10,000 a month, and just kind of gauging all the numbers. And I got back in the spring, and as the spring went, the next event was actually in June in Nashville, Tennessee. So I call it my Nashville moment, because as the time came closer, everyone that said they were going to go decided not to go. And any of the new people I had recruited, none of them were going. And then I had one person that was like, hey, I want to go. I like
out
going.
of 30 people.
Yeah. And then my
That's
mom,
gotta be a hit,
yeah.
a
So,
mental hit.
yeah. So it was, I was expecting like at least 40. I wanted to double it. I was like, I'm going to get 50 to 60 people there, but I was like, 40 would be awesome. 30 would be like, that's the same as last time. So to have two, I was like, I had to be like, man, is there something telling me that this is not what I should be doing right now? And, I just kind of had this quiet time. Me and God were just like, all right, what's happening here? Am I doing all the right inputs? Am I doing, just kind of checking like, am I embracing the process? And is this just a season or is it reality? And I just was like, it's just a
Hmm.
season. This is not reality. And so I ended up going. I wasn't like super stoked to be there, because there was other people there that actually their businesses were growing. And I was like, man, how are they doing it? Like I feel like I'm doing all that stuff too. But then I came back from the event and I had enough energy and vision that I came back, and I was actually able to re-engage a lot of the people that didn't go. People were like, man, how was it? And, we wanted to go. And over those next 6 months actually built up and like, bumped up the business quite a bit to that next year where a whole new big group of people went to the event and it kind of, you know, went up another level. And, but there was always just, yeah, there was just,
I really like that, and I want to point something out because in the past I've heard if you're rich and you lose it all, it really sucks. But if you're not ever rich, you don't really experience that, right? So now here you are, you're making the calls, you're having some success, progress. 30 people show up in one event. 6 months after, two people show up. That's a big mental hit that you got to, like you said, and I love how you bring your faith into the space and the profession, because I think that's a major player as well. I love how you bring that in, but it's a major hit to everything because now you really got to question things because you made it just a few months ago. You've had a bunch of people there, and for them to just kind of go away in 6 months and be dropped, that's got to be it's almost like a reevaluation at the whole space, and that's powerful where you can take that, put that all back together and say, I love that. Is this a reality, or is this just a one-time thing, an accident? And I love that. So that's in the early days. You've been in the
yeah,
space 22 years.
yeah.
Further down, recently, let's say, has there been again another time where you kind of, now you've established, you have your foundation and your mark in the space, if you would. Has there been another time, recent time, where you really thought, "Oh man, I did all this stuff, and I really should go forward again"? Or
Yeah, I mean the first company I was with, we were with for 16 years, and they changed everything in 2019. So they changed the whole compensation plan. We had built to one of the top distributorships in the company, and they were like, "Well, we're changing the plan." So it was like a 99% pay cut, and we were like, "Okay, do we really want to do this again?" Because we felt like we had a great thing, we felt like we had a great culture, and it was kind of a gut check. And I remember my wife and I, we were praying about it, and we were like, God revealed to her, like, write everything you're good at on the whiteboard. So we wrote it on our office, like all the things we were good at. And we were like, wow, we're good at a lot of things. Like we could monetize many things. Like what, what do we want to do here? And ended up, it gave us hope where we're like, okay, if we stay in, and then we just had the sense like, no, you're supposed to stay in this, in this business. You have value, you can bring it. You guys work it differently than others. There's just a certain way you guys work the business that isn't like the hustle culture. And because we have 8 kids, and we have a lot going on. And so we just we stepped back into it at that point. But it was like, should we do this? And people were calling us like, hey, why don't you come? A friend of mine, he called me and he was just like, hey, if you want to come do stuff with me, like your family will be taken care of. Like you you should come and do this with me. And I was like, oh, that's tempting. But again, it was like, I can go do that, but that means I'm going to be out of the house like 50 hours a week. And
What was it, work again?
yeah,
Like back into work,
it
corporate
was
work?
going to be, I mean, not that what we do isn't work, but
Yes.
it wasn't like freestyle work that, I could design my day and design my schedule around so much that I was used to with designing around the kids and all the things that I had built up. And so, but the cool thing about that is that created a genesis moment to get back into building a real estate investment company that I built. So, all things that, what's it say, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So that happened, and we went to a new company, started helping a whole bunch of people, which was great. Got a great situation there, but then started a whole other real estate business that actually has taken off, and we've created another company out of that called Multiplier University, where we've been teaching all of these people how to raise capital and get it into real estate and how to syndicate and buy properties as groups. So I would have probably never gotten into that piece of that obstacle had not coming up, and we figured out what we were good. So, or what we were, that we were good at other things. and so it kind of like took the tunnel vision off of just this one thing, which again, when I first started, I did this all on the side for 5 years. So I knew how to do a couple things at one time. And so now today it's great because, we have, multiple streams of income. We're building a couple different things, and it's all done with, my wife always says, we like to do everything with peace and ease. And so
Ooh, I
we
like
try to
that.
do it the right way, and do it in the right time, and not, not kill ourselves trying to make a buck.
Yeah, I love that. I have been through this whole pancreas thing. It's taught me a lot of things. I've lost everything all over again and rebuilding. And one thing I learned that I can absolutely relate with you is that I believe that we don't get restricted, we get redirected.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, back when your company shut down or changed the model, if you would, at
Yeah.
first, it was a redirection for you. And that moment, I love the fact that you guys put everything on the board, and you're such a team. We're gonna get into that right now. Actually, let's shift gears a little
Yeah.
bit, and because I know that success, it does not have happen in a vacuum, right? You don't build alone, right? Um, if the family is part of, if your family is part of the reason why you're in this space, you're in this profession, you have a side gig, drop the word family in the comments, so we know we're on the same page with you here. Now, I couldn't wait to get into these questions with you, the family questions, because I don't have any kids. Well, not that I know of. So when you say you have 8 kids, married, and you run 2 businesses, and you don't just run them, you run them to billions, that's extremely impressive. So, as a husband and a father of 8, let's be real, right? How do you, I mean, I can't even, how do you do it? How do you do the balancing act between marriage and family and entrepreneurship and coaching?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a process to learn and master. I mean, on one hand, our kids all love each other, so they help each other. They play with each. There's those things, but we try to be disciplined with our time with them, and set boundaries, when we're available. We like to like, Sabbath on Sunday, which is, it's not like a religious thing. It's more of a promise thing of letting our body restore and our minds restore. So we look at that. We look at it that way. Some people look at, oh, that sounds all like restrictive. And to us, it's like, no, I mean, Chick-fil-A is the, number one fast food in the world, and they're only open 6 days. So we're like, hey, why don't we tap into that as well? So that's something for us too. And we just, I mean, we try to like help other people win all around us. And so,
And
the
we
more
do,
we
yes.
can get other people successful and other people give them ownership of things and let them soar, and we don't have to micromanage, or we just kind of try to empower people and be like, hey, you got this, you can do this. None of what we're doing is rocket science. It's most of it's just being good to people and having a good product to be able to serve them with. So that that's the other thing of this business model can create a lot of freedom if you can build leaders and you can build people to be resilient around you. And sometimes we're really on our game and we're working super hard, and we have new people, and we're focused, and we've had season. We tell the kids, hey guys, it's like rise and grind season. We're going to be like we're not even working. And then other times we're like, 2 summers ago, we went to Europe for 4 months, and we worked the business from our phones, while in Europe. But like everyone knew, hey, they're gone. Like they've shown us what to do. They've shown us the way. And if anything, I want to do that sometime with our kids too. So a lot of the balance we try to strike, hopefully we're casting vision for others to be like, if we do it right.
I love that. I think that's so important, Wayne, because I have prospects and people I speak to. They have one kid, two kids, and it feels like their time is choked up. Right? There's just no flowing. There's no flow in the time, and you guys even homeschool 6 of the 8. I mean,
Five of the 8.
5 of the 8. Okay.
3 are out of the house, and then 1. Yeah. So it's still a lot. It's my wife though. She's, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all that. And she
Yeah.
runs the whole like fitness product side of the business too. So but again, it's for us. It's just like we live, eat, and breathe it. So it's it's not about selling. It's just like, this is what we do, and people are like, hey, we want that too. And we're like, well, here's the products that help fuel it. Here's what we do.
So I have a question. So with the fan band, so you got the kids. Do you ever involve the kids in your daily life, in the business and entrepreneurship? Like, do they have a role, or are they kind of on the side?
I mean, my older son, I bring him to things with me sometimes to just get immersed. If I'm going out and I go to a meeting, or I go to like a networking event, or I'll go speak somewhere, I'll bring him. Again, all the kids, we try to be very aware of their personalities and kind of their own unique gifts that they're going to have. So, we're really not trying to make any Wayne 2.0s or Bethany. So I think, there's certain standards of our family that we live by. But then, if one of our kids is like, hey, I wanted to go do this, I wouldn't be like, wait a second. No, like, we're real estate and sales and marketing people. That's what we do as Johnsons, right? So we involve them. I mean, they take all the products, they see us doing stuff, because we want them to love the business. We want them to love,
Right.
that we don't ever want them to feel like they're competing with us for our time and attention. And that's something my wife does really good. She's really never on her phone when she's around with the kids. That's something I always have to work on. I mean, being honest is, shutting down and not like popping in to be like, oh, let me just reply to this person really quick. So, I mean, we all have our things, but for the most part, I think the kids get a lot of time with us.
That is so awesome. I want to congratulate. Like I said, I don't have kids, but I actually studied psychology with an emphasis on human behavior and child behavior, child psychology. So for the fact that you've been successful in this profession for 22 years and you have established what you've established, and yet you allow that freedom for the kids to become who they want to become, I think that's so significant and important, because I see so many parents and caregivers that they spend almost like a full-time job in order to derail or just kind of tag them along into something that they really don't want to get into. And I think that's when not only the kids get turned off by the profession and the business, but also from the parents and the caregivers. So I think that's the fact that you lead by example, and they see that you're taking the products, you're doing the things, and you're just not preaching it. I think that's really significant. In times where you gotta push and you got to really tone down and focus and work hard, like you said, what's that conversation like with the kids? Like, if you have to, like, I mean, I'm sure your kids are involved in sports and stuff too, right?
Not too much with as many kids as we have. We try to do group family stuff, so
Okay,
we ski all together.
I've seen those. Okay.
I mean, both Bethany and I like did a lot of sports growing up, and a lot of, but we've kind of, you know, we don't really have them involved in too many things. They actually like playing together, and they like doing stuff around
That's awesome.
the house, because we live like on a like 2.5 acres, and it's it's kind of like a fun family
Just
compound.
let the kids out, right?
Yeah, they're like free range chickens, so they just go out and play and do all of that. So yeah, it's kind of, for as structured and disciplined as we are, we try to like give them a lot of space to. They don't have any screens, like none of them have phones. We don't have any games in the house, so you could say we're helping them develop boredom and imaginations and hunger for things outside of technology. And I'm feeling like that's a lot of people are coming back to that, because didn't do that with the older ones, and kind of
So
regret.
how old is the oldest
24,
and the youngest?
2.
Okay. Wow. You
Yeah.
guys, yeah, that's all. And the 24-year old doesn't have a phone?
Oh no, she has a phone. She's
Oh, okay,
married.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
she's married. Okay, okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
at this point, I hope she
yeah,
doesn't.
I'm not in charge of her life. She's
Yeah,
she's deployed into the world.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
So
the ones in the house. Yeah,
the ones in the house.
our
Got it.
17-year-old has a phone because she helps with the kids and all that stuff. But the rest of them down, have
The
no
rest of
phone,
them down. I love it. I just love it.
no other things, because we're just believe that they don't need that stuff.
And I want to stress the fact that as hard as you guys work, you guys also play hard as well. I mean, 4 months to go away to a Europe trip, that's an experience that the kids will always remember. It's not like they're they're going to remember who washed their socks, but hey, that 4 months that we went to Europe, that's going to stand out big. Imagine if you were a corporate guy, and I mean, it just wouldn't be even in
Yeah,
the sentence. It wouldn't be in the
a hidden
sentence.
that's a hidden benefit of doing what we do with the business that we have. I tell people all the time, it's like, not this week, but next week we're going to go skiing during the week, because
Yeah.
one, there's no lift lines. Two, you can rent the condo for half the price, actually like a third of the price,
Wow.
and you drive up there and there's hardly anyone there. And guess what? I can still wake up early, and I can do,
What do you do?
2 or 3 hours of work before the mountain even opens. So I can put in like a very efficient, disciplined day, go ski for 3 to 4 hours, because that's, we ski hard. We're tired after that. Come back, do a little recovery, take a little nap, follow up on some other things for an hour or two, eat dinner with the kids. And all the time, I can do it all from my phone. I can have my laptop with me, and we're up at the mountain. But, so not only do we make great income from this, but every time we go travel or do any trips or anything, we can always do it in off peak, not where, the W-2 employee that has the, got to check with your boss. You only have 2 weeks of vacation time. all these restrictions. So that like that value alone adds so much to your life. And a lot of people don't, they just look at dollars and the dollars. But I mean, that freedom is priceless, especially when your kids are younger, because, you just don't get,
Absolutely.
90% of the time you have with your kids is till they're 18.
I bet. Yeah.
You got about time for the rest of their life.
I come from the corporate world, and putting in 12 and 14, 16-hour days, 6 days a week, and 7 days a week. My
Yep.
first encounter with a top earner was a few years ago. I took him to the airport. I will never forget this conversation. I took him to the airport. He was going to go to Costa Rica, and I said, "So when do you want me to come pick you up?" I remember he turned back. He looked at me, smiled, and said, "Whenever I want." And I was like, "Wait, you don't have to come back Sunday night to be at work on Monday?"
Right.
And that just like it literally blew my mind, because I literally could not grasp that concept. Everywhere I went, I had to be back Sunday night,
Yep.
in order to, and I appreciate that freedom about this space. And I want to stress the fact that freedom, that doesn't just come. You've built up to that freedom, and that's the most important thing that we talk about. So let's talk it straight for a second, because most of the people here have already maybe tried and got, I don't really like to use the word burnt, because I don't really get that a lot, but maybe they haven't had the success. Maybe they have more failure than success, or they rethinking about this space. What is the hardest truth about building a successful network marketing gig that most people don't really want to hear?
Hardest truth is it's you.
Hmm.
I mean, I've seen a lot of peculiar people do really well at direct sales that I'm like, wow, very interesting that they are very successful at this, and I probably would not be recruited by them, but that's interesting. So I believe anyone that follows the recipe, there's a great book I've been talking about a lot is, Good to Great is, you find your hedgehog, which is like the one product or system that can be your go-to, that's like you can be the best in the world at it, you have passion about it, it drives your economic engine, and you hone in on that and don't get distracted by all the other stuff that maybe people are doing in the company and the business, and you just are like, hey, this is my niche, this is what I'm going to just go, or they say, those riches in the niches, and go for it. And then just like in that book, he talks about like these companies that go from good to great, great people. And it's all been what we've been talking about is, it's disciplined people who have disciplined thoughts and take disciplined action.
Mm.
And so a lot of people, they'll say, oh, it's always external that's causing the things. And so, the minute you can just have like a zero victim mind, that's another great book a friend of mine wrote called Zero Victim Mind. You can just like do anything. I mean, you can literally do anything if you just are like own it. Like, okay, what can I learn from this? Okay, yeah, maybe they said that or they did that, but what do I need to do now? And just continue to move forward. So now I believe
What would you tell those people then, the people who want to get started, or taking a relook at the space again?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for anyone also that's married, usually they've dated different people too. So sometimes if you've explored other companies or you've been around, sometimes you're like, okay, oh, I've seen this. Oh, wow. I don't know if I want to marry this company. And then it's okay. It's like, okay, not going to marry you. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at this. Okay. Wow. Okay. This is a good fit. Wow. Okay. I like the team. Okay. Culture. Oh, okay. They got systems. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm going to lock in. I'm going to marry it. But then when you marry it, it's like, come on, till death do us part. I'm putting a ring on like this. Like, let's go. Let's be committed. Like in this world, the most committed win. And so that's the separator. Is people are wishy-washy, they're not committed, they kind of dip their toe, they'll be like, I'm going to see if this thing's just going to send me money. And it's just like, what? No, you gotta do the work. Like, what are you talking about? So that's the biggest thing. Is I think anyone can be successful if they're committed, if they're willing to go through the process, and they have the right company, of course. And so that's
That's a big player. Yeah, of
yeah,
course. So we're about to land this plane. I want to appreciate your
yeah,
time, of course. One question I have, a couple more questions I have for you. One of them is, if the 85-year-old Wayne Johnson was here right now and sitting in front of you, what what type of advice would he give you about life, about the business, about what's important?
yeah. I would hope he would be saying, you knew who you were and you knew the mission, and you showed up every day to give your best. I think that's, and you kind of
Hmm.
just like left it all on the field. That's what I want. I want my kids and people to say like, man, that guy, like, he knew what his calling was, and he did it. Like, he showed up every day. He wasn't, maybe he wasn't a billionaire, but I like to say I have a time billionaire, because I have like a lot of time freedom. You know, my bank doesn't have billions, but I don't care because
Yeah.
time is the
Yeah.
only resource that you never get back. So um, we live pretty frugal and really live around having time and being able to do experiences and stuff like that. Like, we actually drive kind of old cars, and we drive, like, we don't, yeah,
Very humble.
we just live pretty simply, because we know what's important at the end of the day. And we were reading with our kids the other night. We've been doing the year through the Bible, so we just started it with the kids. And one of the verses says that in Job, he says, he came into the world naked with nothing, and you'll leave with naked and nothing, right? So don't get too
Mhm.
attached to stuff. So
Yeah.
we're very, we don't have much attachment to a lot of things. So that's, I would say to my 85-year-old self, like, hey, you did good. You impacted a lot of people, and you weren't too attached to things. And good job. So
Mm. I like that. I really like that. If you were to sum up everything, the whole journey, the glory, the pain, the faith, the growth, all of it in one word, what would it be?
ooh, one word. Darn, I was trying to use two words. I was
All
trying
right,
to say
you can
worth
squeeze
it.
two.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, worth the
Yeah.
struggles, the pain, the
Yeah.
obstacles, the
Or
the
grateful.
change of companies. Yeah.
Yeah. I told one of my mentors from early on, he told me happy birthday a couple weeks ago, and we don't even work together anymore. We're just friends and kind of doing different stuff. And I just said, man, thank you for rewiring my brain. You
Mm.
know, like, I had a very average mind when I got started in this business. And I was like, you helped me see more, be more, become more, like, think different. And it's like, once I locked into that, it was like, whoop. So that's what I love to help other people do. It was like, hey, you don't have to think that way. You don't have to believe that. Like, that's a lie. Like, you can do anything you want. Like, let's go. So
I
so yeah,
really do appreciate that. Yeah,
there you go.
that's worth it. I
Yeah,
think at the end of the day, we want to know if it is or not, right? What
yeah,
we do, is it actually worth it or not? Sometimes we don't see the worth yet, but maybe at those times, those are the times we gotta rely on other folks who have gone the journey, have gone the road, have paved it, and now
yeah.
they actually
And
claim it.
you can't attach money to every outcome, right?
Mm.
Because there's so many great things that don't have money attached to it. So that's why you can learn and get better. And so everyone always, like, puts a dollar sign around whether I'm successful or not. And I'm like, I know a lot of really happy, successful people that don't make a lot of money, and then I know people that make a lot of money that are really grumpy and I don't want to be around. So Gotta just, set your sights on the right things, and you'll have gratitude, and you can do it. It's always about other people.
Yeah, I talk about your MVPs, your morals, your principles, your values.
Yeah.
Those are the most important things: your morals, your values, your principles.
Yeah.
And and that's nowhere around any millions of dollars and finances. It's really what's the core of you. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think you agree with me, and that's why you've been so successful. I mean, I see it hands on. You really lead the field with your heart. I mean, you have communicated with me before in the past on this level where I've not been in the vicinity of anywhere close to your team. Like far off. And I feel that about you, that you and Bethany both. I'll give you this. It wasn't in the script, but I'll tell you this. The moment you had me, when it was on the stage when you did that uh, SNL skit with Will Ferrell. Yeah. Oh my God. At first, I was like, where's he going with this? And then I was like, this guy, I like this guy. This guy is cool. So, yeah. So that's when I was like, man, I'm a Wayne fan for sure. So, Wayne, I want to appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to sum this up with?
No, you're awesome. Thank you. I mean, just go for it, guys. Don't get destination disease. Enjoy the process. Grind it out, and it is worth it. So
I really appreciate
thanks
that.
for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, I appreciate everybody. I hope you guys got some value, some love, some inspiration. If you feel like this is worthy of sharing, tag away. Let's go. This is a safe zone. Tag your folks. Spread the love. They say caring and sharing. That's what they say. Let's put it to test, right? With that, I am Sean Azimi. I'm somebody who went from corporate America to an online gigpreneur, not by choice. My pancreas shut down. It left me unemployable with nothing to fall back on. And I got redirected to this whole online space. And here we are. We help folks like you, like me, to start a business online. And we use social media to grow it. If that resonates with you, go to sidegigsean.com, answer a couple questions. I'll reach out. We'll have the convo, and we'll go from there. With that, I'm signing off. Until tomorrow, Wayne, thank you again, and much love.